The Sharks held a lead for like a couple seconds, but then the Panthers do what the Panthers do as the Sharks lose 5-3. So we'll talk about that. The best and worst thing I saw tonight, and Danil Gushchin. So all that and more on today's episode.
You're Locked On Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, welcome to Locked On Sharks, the premier hockey podcast covering your favorite team in the Bay Area. My name is JD Young, contributor at San Jose Hockey Now. I want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first listen, proudly a part of the Locked On Network. We cover your team every day, and if you want to be an everydayer, all you got to do is just follow along wherever you get podcasts, or you can watch on YouTube as well, or do both. Both is great. Today, we're going to be talking about the Sharks' 5-3 loss to the Florida Panthers. Danil Gushchin, William Eklund not having the greatest game, and just what has come of this team. So let's start out with kind of the big takeaway from this game. And we saw the Sharks kind of crawl back into this game, a game which was very, very choppy for the first half of the game. And then Florida Panthers kind of picked it up, and then the Sharks kind of responded, and the Sharks actually took a lead, and they had a lead, and they were down 2-1, scored 2 goals, took a 3-2 lead. But the Panthers, being a defending Eastern Conference champion, loaded with veterans in their window, they did what good teams do, and they found a way. And you saw these Sharks, who have not had much experience holding a lead this season, right? After winning 2 games, and you can count the other times on one hand on how many times they've actually held a lead at some point in this season. You saw that they just do not have the confidence and do not just have that mentality of how to hold a lead. And that's to be expected, right? These guys have basically, for the past couple of seasons, lost a lot of games, and it's that kind of doing the little things and winning hockey. It is a hard trait to learn, right? It is a hard skill to kind of grow and possess it, because the only way you can do it is by doing it, and the Sharks just have not been in a position to develop that skill of kind of playing winning hockey and protecting a lead. So, but I mean, I would say there was some good things to take away from this game. With the way that some of these guys played, and like you see some of the talent, especially from the young guys. And William Eklund did not have the greatest game. If you look at his analytics, if you look at his hockey stat card, it wasn't a great game, but you still saw the flashes from him, right? Great play, where he makes a beautiful stretch pass to set up Mikael Granlund on a breakaway, and Mikael Granlund, he just can't bury it there. Like plays like that, right? And kind of there was some up and down play from him, and he got hit by Lambert and missed a couple shifts, and we collectively had a panic attack as Sharks fans seeing him playing on the fourth line. I think that was just to get him out on the ice, because Hoffman had kind of jumped up on the first line to take his place for a little bit. But these are going to happen, right? We know growth and development is not a steady, curve up. There is going to be ups and downs, and how do you respond? And again, you're playing the Florida Panthers. That hurdle line was matched against the top line of the Florida Panthers for a good chunk of the night, and that Florida team is a very good team. We saw kind of the same thing when the Sharks played Vegas, right? We'll get into the numbers here in a little bit, but that top line is really, really good. With Barkov and Reinert, and like those, you have Kachuk and Sam Bennett and Carter Verhaeghe. Like that's a deep, deep team of very skilled players. And this is a learning step for Eklund, is continuing to kind of grow and develop. So yes, one bad game does not make a season for Eklund. So Sharks play the Blues on Thursday. Blues are playing much better, but they don't have the same depth and talent at the top. So I think this will be I would expect a bounce back game from Eklund, right? Every time we've seen Eklund kind of maybe have a little bit of a down game, we've seen him come back and have a good game so far this season. So I kind of expect the same thing from him. But some of the players who I thought did play well, you got to point to Tomas Hertl, who's been continuing to kind of string some good games together, had a goal tonight. Fabian Zetterlund, his line mate, I thought played pretty well for the most part. There was a kind of a couple miscommunication things between him and Eklund that actually led to one of the goals. But Zetterlund did respond, especially in the third period. He set up the goal to Hertl to give him, the winning goal for a minute at least, or put the Sharks ahead for a minute. And Zetterlund did play hard down the stretch, and you can continue to see Zetterlund kind of growing in that confidence, and that good to see from there. I thought Calen Addison, who's again the hockey stats aren't going, like the stat card's not going to say he had a great game, but you can see the confidence starting to grow with him as he's starting to kind of get more comfortable and learning kind of what guys are doing, and just kind of getting his feet, especially after the trade. And I thought he made a really nice play, kind of coming down the line, coming down the wall, and kind of nice little play to find Carpenter, who was behind the net and almost scored there. And even at the end of the game, when they're down 2, Addison did have a couple of nice plays, and you could see like the offense is starting to run through him, and he's just getting more comfortable with it. I think as more reps in that situation, or more reps with the guys, I think you'll see Addison kind of what you're hoping to get from him as the season goes on. So I got to tip my hat to Luke Kunin, who has definitely been in the crosshairs on this podcast, but scored another goal, and he scored the greasy goals that Luke Kunin is known for, scoring goals, and that's what he does for this team. And he did it again tonight, and I said Luke Kunin plus 550 goal scorer on Twitter today. Hopefully you listened, or at least thought hard about it. But Kunin's been, I still think he's not a second line player, but I think he's a great third line player. And there'll be some interesting decisions as guys stick around and come back. We'll talk about Danil Gushchin here later on this episode, but Luke Kunin, it looks like he's starting to come back from his knee surgery and kind of getting back into shape with it and being able to contribute. And he plays hard. He sticks up for his teammates, and I can see why the guys like him. Again, I know he can be frustrating at times because on the penalty kill, he just misses able kind of getting clearing the puck, and then Tkachuk finds Verhaeghe for the goal, right? And that's kind of puts the Panthers up 4-3 right there, and it just, or that ties the game. Excuse me, sorry. But again, it's just the Sharks just don't have the depth and the quality players to play a full 60 minutes unless you're getting a monumental performance out of Mackenzie Blackwood. And I thought Blackwood played okay tonight. He probably wants a couple, maybe at least one of those goals back. I think there was the one that got tipped, which I can get it, but at the same time, it's like, I don't think it wasn't Blackwood's best game. And of course, we're not going to get amazing games out of Blackwood night in, night out, because that's just not fair to ask from him for what he's done for the Sharks this season. But again, I think it was more of an average-ish game from Blackwood. And when Blackwood's not playing an A game, you need the other guys to step up. And the Sharks we did see better offense out of them, scoring 3 goals. We saw a little bit more zone time and zone pressure from them. But again, when you have a lead and then you don't take another shot for 9 minutes or whatever it was, that's how you lose games right there. So we'll dig into the numbers a little bit more here, and then we'll get into the best and / worst thing I saw tonight. But before we do that, Do want to talk to you guys about our friends over at Sleeper. A new NHL season brings all sorts of possibilities. The Sharks could maybe score 50 goals as a team combined. They could win the draft lottery. They're well on their way to that. And you could win big by playing daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper, the official daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network. Sleeper is our number one choice for daily fantasy sports and especially daily fantasy hockey, because with Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. All you have to do is just pick some of your favorite players, whether it's all-stars, superstars, guys like Connor McDavid, Ovechkin, Crosby, McKinnon, or some of just your favorite players. Slippery Pete, if you want to, Danil Gushchin, as long as he's out there, Mackenzie Blackwood, whoever, and just record more or less of their Sleeper projections for things like goals, assists, saves, plus minus, and more in a given game. Again, Mackenzie Blackwood over saves, just keep picking that. So you'll probably do fine. To win 100 times bet on Sleeper, you need to correctly predict the outcome of 8 player stats. You heard me, Sharks fans. You can win 100 times your money playing daily fantasy hockey with Sleeper. So start paying attention and nail your picks so you could start winning big. Use promo code LOCKEDONNHL and you'll get a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL. See Sleeper's terms of use for details and locational availability. All right. Before we dig into numbers, I want to let you guys know Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for your 24/7 coverage, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube. Subscribe to the first ever national 24/7 streaming channel. So let's dig into the numbers and what they say. And like the Sharks did a pretty solid job, at least for the first 2 periods, of kind of playing with the Panthers and kind of getting quality chances. So, but then the third period, we saw the Panthers kind of put their foot down and put this game away. But shot attempts 55-33 in favor of the Panthers, which was much better than what we saw last time these two teams played. Actual shots was at 5-on-5 was 29-17 in favor of the Panthers. High danger chances was 10-8 in favor of the Panthers. Scoring chances 29-17. And then expected goals for 2.06-2 in favor of the Panthers. So, again, pretty, for the most part, like the Sharks kind of hung in there, especially what was a really choppy game until the third, kind of middle of the second period, where the Panthers really kind of put their, it was like, okay, we got to do something here. But then you have to kind of give it to the Sharks, who fought back in this game and took advantage. They got a couple power plays, and again, it was very much a quality over quantity for the Sharks, and that's been kind of their thing the past couple seasons. Under David Quinn is quality over quantity, especially when it comes to shots. But let's dig into the lines, and the lines are going to be really funky because they not how they started, or how they started and how they finished were different. So first line was Eklund, Hurdle, Zetterlund, of course. Then we had Gushchin, Granlund, and Kunin on the second line to start. Third line was Zadina, Sturm, Labanc to start. And then we saw Hoffman, Carpenter, Giovanni Smith. Hoffman quickly took Labanc's spot, and we'll talk about Labanc here in a little bit. And then I think Zadina played a little bit on the fourth line too, as they were trying to scramble things around here. But so we'll kind of mainly focus on the top 3 lines in here and how they looked. So the line that actually played the most 5-on-5 at time was the Gushchin, Granlund, Kunin line. They played 13:04, 8 shot attempts, gave up 16. Actual shots, that was 4-5. So a lot of block shots in there. Thanks, Luke Kunin. Expected goals for was 0.29 to 0.51. 5 to 6 scoring chances, 1 to 2 high danger chances there with 1, 5, and 7 defensive zone starts. So it's, again, they gave up a lot of shot attempts, but like the meat of the numbers, that line wasn't too bad there. So the Eklund Hurdle Zetterlund line played 1134. Shot attempts a little bit closer at 8 to 12, but the actual shots on goal was 1 to 7 in favor of the Panthers. Did give up a goal. 0.08 to 0.63 expected goals for. So tough night for this line, which has usually been kind of the backbone of the Sharks offense, at least for the past 2 weeks. 2 to 9 scoring chances, 0 to 2 high danger chances with 3, 5, and 2 with the zone starts. So mostly neutral zone starts. The Hoffman Sturms, the Dina line played 4-12, 2 to 7 shots, there's shot attempts, 2 to 4 for actual shots, 0.04 to 2.22 expected goals, 1 to 5 scoring chances, 0 to 3 high danger chances. And then Zadina Sturm Labanc played 346, 3 to 3 shot chances, 3 to 1 actual shots, but 0.15 to 0.03 for Labanc. And then the Hoffman Carpenter Smith line played 325, 4 to 1 shot attempts, 4-0 actual shots. And then they did have the goal, which Mike Hoffman getting his first goal of the season. Good for Mike Hoffman. Expected goals for the line 0.58, the best out of all the lines. So with the lines, right, and it's very much rearranging chairs, deck chairs in the Titanic for the most part. But Labanc, who's I think he would declare probably coming back for Thursday's game. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Labanc is the guy who is scratched, because it feels like Labanc and Hoffman have very similar roles, right, of kind of being the scoring presence on a line. We know that those guys aren't really going to be much. Those guys aren't going to provide in the penalty kill. And Hoffman plays on power play 1, while Labanc plays on power play 2 if he gets in. But Labanc only played 6:48 tonight, while Hoffman played 16:29 tonight. And I think it was a little bit one of Hoffman's better games than Teal. Not counting really the goal, which was nice goal. Johnny on the spot puts it in, but I think Hoffman was a little bit more active tonight than what we've seen from him in the recent games. So I think it's Hoffman and Labanc. It's probably going to be one or the other, especially with Duclair coming back. So I would expect Labanc is probably going to be your healthy scratch on Friday's game. We'll talk about Gushchin here in a minute, but yeah, with the 4 lines, the defense is pretty interesting because Addison actually led the Sharks. And again, I know they were playing catch-up mode at the end of the game, trying to score 2 goals, but he played the most at 12:59, with Ferraro right behind him at 12:52. Emberson, who I thought had a decent game as well, he was at 17:52. Hochuk, who a little bit more of an up and down game from him, at 18:43. Ruda at 18:07 did get an assist, so good for him. And I thought he made a couple strong plays as well. And then Vlasic playing 12:47. So just keep an eye on that one here going forward. I think we can kind of maybe figure out who might be the scratches in the next game. Blackwood, though, tonight, like I said, not his best night. 30 shots against 26 saves. Goals against, gave up 4. Expected goals against was 2.81. So negative goal, expected goals, which I haven't seen too many times from Blackwood, except for when the Sharks are getting blown out, 10 to whatever. High danger saves, 11 high danger shots against, made 9 saves. 8 mid dangers, 7 actual saves, and then low danger shots 9, and with 8 saves there. So again, I don't think it was Blackwood's best night. Kind of more of a B night from Blackwood compared to what we've seen from him this season. So Sharks play. They have kind of a weird. They play on Thursday, then they have a couple days off. They don't play again until Monday, so I wouldn't be surprised if Blackwood plays. Then the Sharks play 3 games next week on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So maybe we might see a couple games of Blackwood here, unless he's maybe feeling it a little bit. But I wouldn't be surprised if Blackwood's back out there on Thursday. So we'll continue here in just 1 second. We spend a lot of time talking together, you and I. We get fired up over wins whenever they do happen, and losses, and who sits and who starts and who's paired with who, and why is Eklund playing on the fourth line. And I'm thankful for the connection that we have. And today I want our chat to be a little bit more personal. I just learned that you can get a 1-year supply of ED medications. You realize what that means? Bring on extended travel, bring on the next natural disaster or supply chain issue. You are covered, my friend. You don't have to worry about whether or not you can refill your generics for Cialis or Viagra. And this is possible because of our friends at Jace Medical. Go online right now at jacemedical.com to receive your 12-month supply of your daily medication. Remember to use promo code LOCKEDON at checkout for a discount as well. A verified customer had this to say about Jace. I'm thankful for this service. Supply chain issues caused me to cut pills in half to have it. I order most of my daily meds with a year supply. I also ordered an antibiotic kit, so I feel secure now. Prices are lower than local pharmacies, and I highly recommend this for everyone. So if you or someone you love would like to get peace of mind by having a year supply of any daily medicine, go to jacemedical.com to see if it's offered for you. Remember to use promo code LOCKEDON for $20 off your purchase. All right, so let's finish up with the best thing I saw tonight and the worst. And I think you guys know what the best thing I saw tonight, and that's Danil Gushchin. And specifically just the creativity and the one play, right? If you watch the game, I'm screaming down the right side. He's got a defender right on him. And instead of just trying to like backhand it in, and it's probably going to get defended by, the defender's got defender a great positioning, right? Perfect stick, placement, like everything we that's perfect defense right there. But Danil Gushchin, who's too beautiful for this world, being the creative player he is, goes for the behind, like the between the legs, to get a shot off. And no, it didn't really hit the net, and it was kind of inaccurate. But just that creativity, right? That is something you can't coach, right? That is him just being creative and trying to do problem solving, right? Talking to our friend Hattie, who one of the big things is how do you problem solve and how do you figure something out? The defenders got perfect defense. You still were able to get a good quality shot off, even though the defender had perfect defense. Like, instead of just trying to cut to the net against a bigger defenseman, right, who had perfect positioning, and nothing's going to happen. You're probably going to get the puck knocked off, or just going to the boards and you're going to get, swallowed up in the boards. You did something creative. And we saw that from Gushchin several times tonight, of just him being able to kind of find pockets of space. Had a really nice, really great shot with Luke Kunin, who is below the goal line, which I don't know why. Like, I love when the Sharks set up behind the goal. Like, that seems to be their best way to get offenses. We've seen it with Eklund, we've seen it with Hertl, we've seen it with Zettel. Like, we've seen it with these guys, and it seems to be their best way to create scoring chances is setting up behind the goal. But Gushchin, wide open, great shot, and then Stolarz just made a great save. Stolarz kind of has the Sharks number, right? If you go dig into his numbers, he really plays really, really well against the Sharks. But Gushchin, 3 games has played, 3 points, an actual point per game player in the NHL. I know they're gonna have a little bit of a decision with Duclair coming back here soon, and they're gonna have some more bodies coming back, especially in the blue line. But Gushchin provides a pop, and the Sharks need a pop right now. And I think he played really well tonight, and I'd like to see him continue to get a chance. Granlund, I don't think it's, we saw Granlund probably have one of his better games tonight playing, and Gushchin was on the line. Like, if you put Gushchin, and maybe what I would do, I know with the Hertl, Zetterlund, Eklund lines played really well. I would put Duclair on that line, put Zetterlund on the second line with Granlund. So you'd have a Hurdle, Eklund, Duclair, Gushchin, Granlund, Zetterlund line. Kunin on the third. If you want to go Zadina, Sturm, Kunin, or Hoffman, Sturm, and then, kind of figure things out from there. But Gushchin's going to make it very hard, I think, for the Sharks to send him back down. And he's played really well in the AHL, and I think he deserves a long, if it's not right now, he will get a good long look because the game just doesn't look too big for him. So, and the worst thing I saw tonight is Vlasic. This has been a ongoing theme, but Vlasic, I think the ice time tells you the main story with Vlasic, right? It's just he is not trusted to play big minutes for him anymore. And he's already been a healthy scratch once this game. And I wonder if, I know, you have a lot of these young guys between Knizhov and Addison and Emberson, and like you got to try to get these guys in there and playing consistent minutes, because that's the only way they're going to get better, right? And Vlasic might be heading to the press box here for a little bit. And I know Burroughs was a healthy scratch tonight. Benning, I think, is on schedule to be back here soon. But yeah, like, would you rather play Ohochuk or would you rather play Vlasic? Because I think Ohochuk's played pretty well. I think his games kind of started to come along the past couple games, right? And the tripping penalty, which was a soft tripping penalty, but like Vlasic, you are known for your stick positioning and just being in the right place at the right time. And that's not a smart penalty to take. Yes, bit of a soft call, but like you can't put yourself in that position to take that penalty because guess what happens? Verhaeghe scores literally 20 or 30 seconds later, and then that ties the game. Like, and then the wheels fall off for the Sharks. This team just cannot make these mental errors, and I'm interested to see what the Shark is. Question for another day, but what do the Sharks do with Vlasic going forward? Maybe that's a question we can dig into tomorrow or sometime soon. So that's gonna be it for me tonight. I'll be back tomorrow. Figure out something to talk about. Then we'll also cover the Blues game on Thursday night, and then got some interviews lined up. Got some good stuff coming in for you guys. So make sure you guys are following along wherever you get podcasts. And of course, you can watch on YouTube as well. You can follow the show on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at Locked On Sharks. You can follow me on Twitter at MyFryhole. Until tomorrow, bye, friends.